So look, how do you deal with rejection? Yes, a lot of us have been rejected in relationships. Now, better yet, how do you go from being rejected so many times to being engaged to your dream person in 2 months? That's my story. So, yeah, like I said, I was rejected. Not just rejected, by the way, I got cheated on plenty of times, and I was, dating the same kind of person. You know, when you're dating the same kind of person, it's just a toxic relationship. After toxic relationship, you keep repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. They call that insanity. Yeah, that was me. Okay, so how did I go from that to meeting my dream girl and getting engaged in 2 months? Yeah, so like I mentioned in one of the videos that. Look, I got rejected by my ex-fiance. She literally said she doesn't want to marry me anymore, and the thing is this: we were both young, and it wasn't completely her fault, honestly, because what I did was I sat down and I did some introspection. Okay, I liked her. I wanted to get married to her. She didn't want to get married to me anymore. Not only that, I liked another girl after that who was also not interested. So I sat down and I was like, no, but why does this keep happening to me? And as I was doing that, and I on my other video, one of the videos on this channel, you must go check, because I spoke about a list. Yes, I was working for a photographer, and yes, this photographer, Robert Russell, told me about writing a list. What exactly the type of girl that you want to marry, exactly in detail. What kind of girl do you want to marry? So I asked myself, okay, this whole list thing, writing a list in terms of exactly the kind of girl that you want to marry, does it really work? Does it really work? So apparently for him it worked. So for me as well, I sat down, I wrote down that list, and that was 2006, 2007, 2008. Man, I thought this girl doesn't exist, and I shared another video. Eventually I met the girl. But now, how did I go from meeting that girl, from being a guy who's an introvert, who's also yes, I'm an introvert, for those that don't believe it. And I was very awkward around girls. So how do I go from being awkward around girls, not knowing what to say to them, to meeting my dream girl, having a 9.5-hour conversation non-stop, and then 2 months later getting engaged? How did that happen? All right, so what happened was, after I got rejected by my ex-fiance saying that she doesn't want to get married to me anymore, and then liking another girl who was also not interested, what happened was, it was around December time. This is 2014, okay? And then what happened was, in December time, for some of you, you will say this like, okay, that's why he was rejected. That's why he was rejected. He's a nerd. He's a nerd. Okay, in December, what I normally do is, since I'm busy the whole year and I don't have time to do the things that I like to do, what I do is I actually do some personal development. So I read business magazines, I read books, I watch seminars online, business seminars, etc., to grow myself, to grow into my purpose, to grow into being the man that I want to be, the man that can lead the kind of family that he wants to lead. So the one talk that I was listening to really impacted my life, okay? And it had the answer, okay? Because some of you are wanting someone that is in a list. You have a list in terms of your dream person. But there's another list that nobody tells you about. There's another list that not enough people are talking about, okay? This is the list that I wanted to mention in this video, okay? So I'm sitting there. I'm watching a guy called Darren Hardy. He's the former editor of Success Magazine. And he's doing a talk. He's doing a keynote. And then he starts talking about his list. He also had a list. I was like, oh, so he also had a list. But now his list was hectic. It was like 40 pages or something like that, in detail, hair textures, etc., right? But check what he says in this video. This is the list that nobody tells you about. Listen to this.
Success is not something you pursue. Success is not a doing process. He says, what it is that you pursue eludes you. It can be like trying to chase butterflies. It eludes you. He said, instead, success is something you attract by the person you become. So for things to change, you've got to change. For things to get better, you've got to get better. And when you improve, everything and all your results improve around you. And so I remember when I was 29 years of age, and I'm ready to get married, okay? And so it was a rainy weekend. I was living in Dallas at the time, and I decided I'm just going to take this journal and I'm just going to write down everything that I want in a woman. Great detail. okay? I mean, kind of food she liked, kind of art she liked, kind of music she likes, kind of place she likes to travel, right? The kind of how she wanted to raise children, down to the texture of her hair, the color of her eyes, everything. I filled out 40 pages of my ideal woman. And I remember reading it going, yeah, that's my woman, right? And then I'm thinking, what do I got to do to get this girl? And then I heard Jim Rohn's voice in the back of my head. He said, what you pursue will elude you. Instead, it's who you have to become. So I started by asking myself two questions. I asked this question. I said, based on the woman that I described on these 40 pages, what kind of a man does she want for herself? And I started to write down all the attributes of what this quality woman would want in a quality man. And then the second question I asked myself is, what is the difference between me and that man? And all the ways that I need to grow and improve in order to become that man attracted to and worthy of this woman. And so I don't really know exactly how this works, okay? Some things are, as Jim would put it, mysteries of the mind. But I'm telling you, as if she were peeled off the pages of my journal. 3 years into our marriage, I found the journal and I had her read it. And she was shocked about how specifically it detailed her. If I had showed it to her at the beginning, she would have ran away scared.
Man, that was powerful, right? So notice, he went and wrote the kind of list of the kind of person that he wants to marry. But here's the other list that nobody tells you about. Like he said, you sit down and you write that down, what kind of person you want to marry, cool. And then you pray about that. Okay, that's what I did. I prayed. I was like, Lord, this is the kind of girl that I want to meet. But then the next step was this. This was my missing step that I didn't know. So I asked myself, now this list of this kind of girl, now what kind of man does this girl want to marry? So now I started writing another list. What kind of a man does this girl want to marry? You understand? So I started writing that list in terms of the characteristics, in terms of what is he about? What, does he have courage? Does he have integrity? Does he have, fearlessness, godliness, etc., etc.? You understand? So I started to write that list. And I remember after writing that list, and yes, he's right, because what happens is when you write that list, it's actually longer than the list of the kind of girl or the kind of person that you want to marry, right? But now here's the thing, is that after writing that list, I sat there and I was like, oh my gosh, I got a lot of work to do, because I was not that guy on that list. So I started working on myself, okay? I started working on my relationship with God, making it a deeper relationship with God. I started working on my courage, and I was a yes man back then, by the way. I was a yes man. If people wanted me to do stuff, yes sir, yes sir, yes ma'am, yes ma'am, yes sir, yes sir. And I knew if I was to be a husband one day to my dream girl, I can't do that. If I'm going to be a husband one day, I can't do that. You understand? So certain characteristics I started to fix in myself. You understand? The way I was grooming myself, etc., etc., exercising, getting in shape, etc., etc. You understand? Because I wanted to be attractive to that person on that list. And a year later, after working on myself, almost a year later, you understand? This is months later. All right. So what happens is the couple who introduced us, basically they introduced us, and I've told some of the story on another video. So they introduce us, and then we meet at this event, because she was at this event that I was going to, and we met for 5 minutes. And as we met in just 5 minutes, like 10-minute talk, because I was busy. I was actually working at that event, and I was doing interviews for a radio show that I was running. And it was the end of the night and we were about to leave. So we spoke for about 10 minutes. And as we were talking, we realized that, wait, we click, you understand? And then we met that next Saturday. And when we met that next Saturday, we sat at a park bench and we just spoke. Yes, at a park bench. We didn't go to a fancy restaurant, okay? You know, my point with that is that some people complicate it too much, you know? You have to be fancy. You have to take them to the fanciest restaurant, etc., etc. The main thing that, okay, this is what I learned about my wife, by the way. She didn't care about the fancy restaurant and and this and this and that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's bad to care about that stuff, but my point is this: is that the main thing was about us getting to know each other. So we sat down, we spoke for 9.5 hours straight, close to 10 hours straight, no break, no nothing. And the only reason we stopped talking was because it was getting dark, like it's getting dark now. And yeah, and I needed to get home and get ready for church the next day. She needed to get home as well, to get ready for church the next day. So that was the thing, it was characteristics. So that's the thing I wanted to talk about in this video. Some of you are looking for something superficial. You know, some guys want a girl with a BBL. You understand? Dude, a BBL is not going to do anything for you when you have marriage problems. You understand? Some girls are wanting a guy with 6 figures and a 6-pack. You understand? 6 feet tall, 6 figures and a 6-pack. You understand? And look, my point is this in this video is when you're looking for superficial stuff, it does nothing for you when you have marital problems. Trust me. There's a lot of character stuff you must look for in a person. So true, for me, I wanted someone that I'm attracted to, and my wife is hot. My wife is hot. I'm just gonna say my wife is hot. Okay, I'm really attracted to her. I think she's amazing. I think she's beautiful. But the thing is this: it's not just her outer beauty. Her inner beauty is even more. You understand? And those were the characteristics. And those were the characteristics I was looking for. So looked for characteristics in a person. Okay, there must be a person of character, a person of integrity, and then another thing is values. You have to have the same values, because some people they sleep together and it's all emotions and things like that, and they're buying fancy things for each other. Next thing, you wake up and you don't even connect. You don't even have the same visions. You don't even have the same values. You understand? So those are the things you must look for. You understand? So let me back up a bit and tell you what happened in January. So in January, I had my enough is enough moment. Some of you need an enough is enough moment. You need an enough is enough moment. Let me know in the comments if you want a video like that. Okay, a video where I talk about the enough is enough moment. So I had my enough is enough moment, and I sat there and I was like, okay, Lord, if you want me to be in a relationship, that's your problem. Me, I'm done. I'm done with girls. I just want to, start a business. I want to resign, get my job, start my business, and then later on, I'll see if someone is interested in me. After I get my success in my business and whatever, maybe I'll be attracted to someone will find me attractive then. You understand? But then I was like, wait a minute, why do I need to go through all of that to be attractive to someone? So I'm like, nah, enough is enough. Lord, there is someone out there that is going to love me for me. And right now, I'm not interested in relationships. But if it's your will, it's your problem. Like me, I'm done. So, and then I'm like in the same vein. And by the way, this is me giving up on relationships. While I'm like negotiating with God. So I'm like, okay, but Lord, look, okay, if it's your will that I'm in a relationship, I'm going to be engaged by October this year. I'm like, October this year, I'm getting engaged. If it's your will that I'm in a relationship, I'm going to be engaged in October this year. And by the way, keep in mind, I don't even know who the girl is that I'm going to get engaged to. This is me like speaking in faith. January, there's no prospect, nothing. I'm getting rejected, remember? Okay, cool. I told in another video on this channel where I met the girl, and I met the girl through a person that I knew after going to a certain event. He's like, hey, dude, you sound exactly like this girl that I know. You guys should meet. Fast forward, we meet. We speak for 10 minutes because we were at an event where I was actually there to work because I was doing interviews for a radio show that I was running. And we spoke for like 10 minutes, and I got her number, and we met that next Saturday. And by the way, when we met, we sat down and we spoke for 9.5 hours straight. Okay? Sat and we spoke for 9.5 hours straight. So tell me, how does a guy who doesn't know how to speak to girls, who's awkward around girls, how does he hold down a conversation for 9.5 hours with his dream girl? Let me know in the comments if you're interested to know that. Okay, some of you I know you battle to speak to, to girls and things like that. So yeah. So anyways, what happened was, after that, as we got to know each other, as I shared in another video, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the girl from the list, And then as October was approaching, we're now in September. I'm like, wait, Lord, I remember. I'm like, Lord, remember in January, I said I wanted to get engaged. I'm like, now I met the girl. Here's the girl. I met the girl. Remember, now I need to get engaged. And keep in mind, I was broke. I had no money to buy a ring. I was still looking for a job because I had just resigned. I was getting like my last paycheck. And by the way, I was using my money for my last paycheck to go all the way to Pretoria to go visit her. And it was so worth it. You understand? And then next thing, a few days later, the couple who introduced us, they call me and they say, hey, Dumi, listen, we bought our anniversary rings and we got an extra ring. And both of us prayed about it and we believe that God wants us to give it to you. So I'm like, hey, when can I fetch it? So I go and I fetch that ring as soon as possible. I go and I fetch the ring, and then the next weekend she was there and I proposed. Yeah. And I proposed. Yeah. So God did a miracle, provided the ring, provided the finances so that we could get married, and we got married. And then eventually I got a job. Eventually I started a business. Eventually we bought a house, you understand? But my point is in this video is the fact that, look, there's another video that I'm going to, I'm just giving you a taste of another video that I'm going to film. But I'm going to say this phrase right now. You can't dictate to someone what they should be attracted to. You can't dictate to someone what they should be attracted to. So I sat there and I worked on myself to become the guy that my dream girl is attracted to. So that one day when I did meet her, I was that guy on her list. Yes. I then find out after we got married that she had a list. And because when we met, I didn't have a job. Right? And I had just resigned from a job and I was between jobs. So I asked her, I'm like, listen, I didn't have a job and I didn't have much money. Why did you give me a chance? She tells me the characteristics she was looking for in a guy and the fact that I had them. Imagine that. So because I worked on myself and because I worked on being that guy on that list, she was like, that's my husband. So so then we got married. And so that's what I'm saying is that, guys, you need to work on yourself in terms of what kind of a person does the person you want to marry want to marry. What kind of person do they want to marry? You understand? Do they look after themselves? Are they in shape? Are they looking after their health? Are they having a deep relationship with God? Are they a person of integrity? Are they a person who has certain values? You understand? Then you work on that. So anyways, the last thing I'm going to say is, so I learned many lessons in terms of how to become the guy that your dream person wants to marry. And then not only how to then, secure the bag, but also to get married to them. And then now we're married for 9 years. Okay. We got 3 beautiful, beautiful kids and we're married for 9 years. So how do you become that person, find the one, get married, and then have a deep and passionate relationship that has longevity? You understand? So those are the kind of things that I wanted to teach. So tell me, what questions do you have for me? And then also for those that are interested, I have a waiting list. So if you click on the description of this video, there's a waiting list that you can sign up for and then answer a few questions in terms of what exactly you would like to learn in this thing that I'm putting together. So I'm putting together, it's probably going to be a community or a course. I really want to help as many people as possible because I was once that guy that was rejected. Okay. And I know some of you out there want help in this situation. You understand? So let me know in the comments if you're interested in that, and also click on the description in the video. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek on another video that I'm going to be filming. Okay. I'm going to say this phrase. You can't dictate what another person should be attracted to. Okay, you can't dictate what another person should be attracted to. So I went and I worked on myself to become the guy that my dream girl wanted to marry. Okay, so by the way, I wanted to teach people, okay, because I know some of you out there are struggling to find the one, okay, but the first thing is you need to be the one. I used to work for a magazine called Truth Magazine, and when I was writing an article, I interviewed the one lady, and she said, her pastor said, marriage is not just about finding the one, it's about being the one. All right, so how do you become the one that your dream person wants to marry, and then how do you then secure the bag, and then after you get married, how do you build something that has a longevity, where it's a passionate relationship that lasts a long time? I've been married for 9 years now. My wife and I, my dream girl and I, we have 3 beautiful kids, and there's so many lessons that I learned in that. So if you're interested in, I'm putting together a community, a course, a membership. I don't know what it's going to be called. I don't know what it's going to be, but my point is this: I want to teach all these lessons that I learned so that I can walk the journey with you and help you to become the person that your dream person wants to marry, and then also how to prepare yourself to have a foundation to build a marriage that has longevity. For those that are interested in that, please click on the link on the description of this video, because there is a waiting list. Okay, there's a waiting list, and in that waiting list, I also want you to please answer a few questions so that I can prepare as much helpful content for you as possible. And then the problem is with the internet, there's a lot of relationship gurus out there that are teaching the wrong stuff. So how do you find the right stuff, and how do you listen to the right stuff that helps you to actually find the right person for you? So if you're interested in that, click on the next video.